One of the things that I constantly think about when it comes to understand coffee is just simply tasting more food. And in this case, that's exactly what we're going to be doing. Believe it or not, one of my things that I love to do or love to eat is fruit. I love fruit. I eat it every day. I'm always kind of gauging of like what I'm actually tasting and how I compare that to actually drinking coffee. Because as you know, coffee is a fruit and it's kind of unique in a way to where we pick the fruit, process it, whichever way works for that particular coffee, and then we roast it. And then we can roast it like medium and dark. There's variations in between here and there. But at the end of the day, when we actually brew the coffee, we're tasting some type of fruit. A lot of times when people try to describe coffee to us, we kind of take that as what it is. And sometimes it's right, sometimes it's not. But at the end of the day, it's your palate. I think one of the best things that we can do for ourselves is actually just simply just taste fruit, eat fruit, understand fruit, and get to the point to where we are objectively making our own decisions when it comes to actually drinking coffee. So with that being said, I'm actually going to date this video. Right now, it is March 30th, 2025. So take that in consideration. You can do this too. Probably get a pen, paper, or just go off memory and everything. Since I do have the added benefit of actually doing this on video, that's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to simply tell you or show you how I actually eat or taste my fruit. The thing about fruit is that when we get it from the store, sometimes we're dealing with organic, sometimes we're dealing with items that are off peak. So we do have to take that in consideration. So when somebody is telling you that something tastes like apple, really, what are we really talking about? Because a lot of times when we're tasting fruits, we think about the acidity, we think about the sweetness, how much it is, how much we really like it. For instance, I had one fruit from Whole Foods about a week ago. It was a mandarin tangerine type of orange. It was perfectly balanced. Sweetness was on point, acidity was on point. I can just eat the whole thing. And that's what I did. I ended up finishing the whole bag. So those are some of the things that I look for when it comes to a balance of a coffee. And that's how I personally judge coffee. It doesn't have to be a 50-50. It just has to work together for me in a way to where I'm like really gelling and liking it. So again, the reason why I said the date is because that's very important, because whenever you're getting fruit from the store, sometimes it's off peak, on peak, sometimes it tastes like shit. But at the end of the day, we're just simply documenting our journey of what we're actually tasting. So let's go ahead and get some fruits. Love blueberries. I know the ins and outs. I like the small ones. I like the big ones. And right now, I know for sure, since it's the end of March, that blueberries are out of season. More than likely, the flavors are not going to gel with me. I probably won't pick this up again until like November or December of next year, because it tastes like crap. But let's just taste it real quick. Sweet. There's no real acidity on it. It's kind of boring. I taste mostly sweetness. I would say 90%, almost 100% of sweetness. I don't get that acidity when it comes to the blueberries. This blueberry in particular is not something that I would like to gravitate to eat to. More than likely, what I will probably do is go ahead and just freeze this batch and use it for smoothies. But at the end of the day, we know that this is some type of representation of blueberries. So we can probably say that this descriptor is more so like a off ripeness date blueberry taste. That may mean something different to you. You may taste a little bit more acidity than what I'm actually tasting, but trust your palate. Ask yourself what you're tasting. And like I said, I'm a blueberry fiend. And it's unfortunate that I won't be able to really enjoy blueberries much for the next 6, 7, 8 months, because there's no need for me to get it. I don't like that combination of the blueberries. It's mostly sweetness that I taste. And at times, if it's one way or the other, with acidity, for instance, it gets too loud in my mouth. I don't like that either. And when you just taste sweetness on fruit, it's dull, at least to me, but it's dull. It doesn't have that much character. It's just really one notey, not in a good way. This is my assessment, at least for now, for blueberry. And again, remember when you actually eat these fruits, analyze it for what it is, okay? It's juicy, it's sweet, has that melony type of aftertaste. There's no acidity to this cantaloupe at all. So whenever it comes to like describing a coffee. Like a lot of times Indonesian coffees, they do have that earthy type of melony type of taste. Kind of remember that and remember the time that we're actually having that. If you want to jot down when cantaloupe is the best, I taste mostly sweetness and that aftertaste melony type of taste. This right here is a tangerine. Oh, perfect. Good acidity, good sweetness. This is exactly what I like in coffee. So good. What am I tasting here? I get hit with the acidity and then the sweetness comes in. I know it's an orangey taste because it's a tangerine. Remember that when you're actually writing down your notes, thinking about descriptors for coffees, that's going to be key to you understanding what you're tasting and you judging exactly what you like about that particular coffee for whatever reason it may be. Now it's time to taste strawberries. Hydroponic. It says premium, but we'll see if it's premium. This is a different strawberry. I believe this is organic type of strawberry. More acidic, less sweet. It doesn't excite me. Sweetness coming in a little bit. I can kind of tell just from looking at it that it's a little bit sweeter at the bottom. And I was supposed to wash these fruits, but I didn't. And then this is another one. I think this will probably be a little bit sweeter, a little bit more balanced. Well, let's see. It's tasty, but more so the same. A little hint of sweetness, some acidity. Everything's very soft, a little muted, if that makes any sense. So that's what I'm tasting in the strawberries right now. It may not be strawberry season. That's why it kind of tastes like crap. And what I mean by crap, at least to me, is that there's no like harmony. There's no like balance here. There's just one way or the other. So that lets me know that if something is not the right character for me or the right way that I like to taste it. And it's perfectly okay. We understand fruits a lot better. And then what that will carry over is us actually drinking coffee and understanding coffee and seeing where the vibrancy is in the coffee. Where's the balance at? Which way it favors more or the other. See, we can actually manipulate that in the brewing technique and different recipes that we're working with. Those are really what we're trying to do here. So we got some raspberries and some blackberries. More sweet, just like a raspberry, some acidity. I'm really liking this raspberry. I wish there's a little bit more acidity on it, but it's pretty good. And I would say that was probably more like a 70-30 split of acidity, of sweetness and acidity. It has some, just enough acidity on it. So I think this is probably more so well balanced for what it is for the raspberries at this time of day or time of month or time of year. Let's take some blackberries. More sweet, tastes like a blackberry. There are some acidity on this. I believe the raspberry is a little bit better tasting, a little bit more harmonious, but the blackberry does work. I wish actually some of that bitterness type of acidity will come through a little bit more to make the blackberry interesting, but it is what it is. This is actually what we're tasting right now. That's something we just have to deal with. How many times have you read on the bag of coffee that it has this apple crispness? It has this apple aftertaste. Really, what are we talking about? More than likely, it just tastes like apple. But at the end of the day, if we're really trying to understand what we're actually eating or drinking or analyzing, we need to understand it from different perspectives. Sometimes when roasters, even myself, get too crazy descriptive with some of the labels that they have on the bag, a lot of times people think that's pretentious. But at the end of the day, who cares? You trust your palate. You taste as many different things as you can and document that stuff. For instance, here's one apple, here's another apple, here's a Granny Smith, and this is an opal apple right here from Costco, I think. More sweetness, kind of dull. Nice soft apple aftertaste though. Soft, it's delicate, meaning that it's kind of there, but it's not there, so to speak, if that makes any sense. Let's taste this other one. More so the same, a little bit of acidity coming through, but nothing to write home about. Does taste like an apple. It has more like a honey type of sweetness on it. The acidity is really not there. Okay, it's kind of there. It's there now. It's there. But it leans more towards sweetness than acidity. But again, it's a different type of sweetness. I think it's amped up a little bit more. It's more elevated compared to like a cane sugar type of sweetness. This is more of a honey, it has more personality to it. That's what I'm tasting. Not as tart as I'm used to, but it is more acidic. A little bit of sweetness, but not much really. Believe it or not, these taste very similar. This is weird because a lot of times whenever I had Granny Smiths, is that you will get that big pop acidity and then the sweetness will come in, which is really a cool combination. These are the fruits that I've tasted today. And a cool thing about this is what you can do is grab a couple blueberries, apple. See how those combinations work too. See if you can probably balance out the sweetness and acidity of something that needs a little bit more. Think it through. Be honest with yourself. Ask yourself if this is really what you're tasting. Seeing how these flavors can probably be something that you actually taste in coffee. What are we tasting? Why are we tasting it? Why do we like this? We're asking ourselves a little bit more than it's good. Why is it good? What are the combinations of acidity and sweetness are you tasting? Do you think it's more balanced this way? And then that's when you can go ahead and probably play around with your Rolodex of ideas, logics when it comes to brewing. Grind a little bit finer, have a little bit more brew time, whatnot, whatever it may be. Understand that this is what your coffee probably tastes like. These are different things that you can taste. And I'm just talking about actual fruit. You can even do it in vegetables. You can play around with different vegetables, taste them, see what the aftertaste is, see what the balance is. More than likely, in vegetables, a lot of them, there's probably not much sweetness, but it'll probably give you a different characteristics of understanding the type of acidity on it. Probably even taste like a bell pepper, whatever. That may at times let you know that if it's a light roast, that's just what it's tasting like. Very vegetable type of taste. You can go beyond just vegetable type of taste. You can actually be more descriptive of actually what you're tasting because you're actually eating those different types of foods. Let me know what you think about this. I think this is pretty cool. I think we should be doing this all the time. I know that we do eat fruit or vegetables all the time, and just be honest and curious with yourself, just as we are with our coffee. This is Ogie at Everyday Beans signing off. Talk to you later. Bye.